Hello, I'm Kathleen Bade, and we are talking to superintendents across the country right now from Idaho. I want to introduce you to Dr. Derek Bubb from West Ada School District. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon to you. Give us a lowdown of what West Ada School District is all about in your community.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the pride of the valley there in the Boise area. We represent 40,000 students across that area. Yes, there are actually 40,000 students in that Treasure Valley. We're the largest district in the state of Idaho. And it's a really sprawling community. A lot of growth going on in there. That's probably some of our biggest challenges is trying to manage some of that growth, but some really exciting things going on in our school.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest growing cities in the country right now. So how are you trying to address that?
Yeah, I mean, that's our challenge, right? Not just from, I'll say infrastructure wise, from busing, having enough schools, having rooms in our schools. And so there's some challenges there. We're thankful we have a really, really supportive community that also understands that we're growing. And so we're able to manage it with building schools as quickly as we possibly can. The city and the state have been really great about trying to provide some additional funding for those schools and support us. But we're unique. So being 40,000 students, next closest is a district that sits about 20,000 students, about half our size. So we're extremely large for the state of Idaho. And that provides some benefits and there's some challenges that come with that. Obviously being a big district and making sure that things go the way you want across 58 schools is a challenge, but we're able to really spread our wealth across the district and make some good financial decisions because of our size. We can leverage that a little bit.
Strength in numbers, right?
Right.
Well, you've been in this position for 4 years now. Tell us how you got here. What's your journey and background?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'll tell you what you shouldn't do. I started with, I'm not going to get involved in education. I got a degree in mathematics and criminal justice. And I come from a family of educators, and I said, hey, I'm probably not going to go down this road of education. I'm going to go work for the FBI. And next thing you know, I called my mom and said, hey, what do you think the chances of me getting a mathematics job? And she said, well, you have a degree in math, you'll get a job. And so I actually started my roots right here in Southern California and started teaching math. I was a head football coach. I was an athletic director, assistant principal, all of those things, and picked up the family when we moved to Idaho about 8 years ago. I was a principal in the district and assistant principal in the district. And then this position came available and one of my big goals is to be able to make a bigger impact on our community, make a bigger impact on kids. And this was one of those opportunities that I figured I'd just put my name in and see what happens. And lo and behold, I got the job.
And being on all those different levels, you probably have a really good understanding of what teachers and principals are dealing with day to day. Does that figure into your leadership philosophy?
It is probably the core of who I am, making sure that I don't forget what it's like to be in front of kids every single day. Our teachers make the biggest impact on students every single day. They have harder jobs every single day. They're balancing so many things. They've really had to change who they are as teachers in the last 5 years. I was meeting with another superintendent, and we were talking about what did education look like 15 years ago, and then what did it look like 100 years before that? 100 years before that, it largely looked the same as what it looked like 15 years ago. In these last 15 years, we've seen education transform from the technology in classrooms to the immediacy that our teachers are able to have with students. I mean, there's so many things that our teachers are doing to make sure that they're meeting the needs of all their students, and our students are at all different levels. And so that's an imperative for us, but keeping that in mind and knowing that that's a challenge has really formed who I am as a leader.
And an enormous challenge at that, considering the pace of technology. Artificial intelligence has been a big topic in education. How are you handling that?
You know what? I will say this. Artificial intelligence for us is a tool that we can use. And to just ignore it and say it's not here, I think would be foolish. But we really need to teach our kids. We need to teach our teachers. We need to teach our administrators how to use it as a tool. And it can be a really effective tool if used properly.
How are you managing the post-pandemic world? Because you're about to lose funding because those relief funds are drying up. And then on top of that, you also have a deficit in math and reading skills for certain students because of that gap in learning. How are you sort of addressing all those challenges?
Our chief financial officer has been amazing. He saw this cliff coming, has really put us in a good financial stance to move forward. That doesn't go without saying that we've had to do some give and takes, and there's going to be some sacrifices, and we're not going to be able to do the things that maybe we were able to do a year ago or 2 years ago. As far as post-pandemic and where we are as a district today, really, really thankful for our teachers. Our kids, we're seeing growth past where they were at prior to pandemic levels. Their test scores are going back up. So we're seeing that gap diminish, which has been unbelievable. And that has created a whole new challenge, right? Now, how do we extend those learning opportunities and give kids more of that personalized opportunity? Because you have kids that are still have a huge learning gap, and you have kids that have overcome that. And so we have a responsibility to make sure that we're meeting kids where they're at, and all of those kids may be sitting in the same class. So
and what kind of initiatives and programs have you implemented that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, so we are really focused on process over product in West Data. And so what are we doing? We can't do, and I lovingly call it the data autopsy. We can't do the data autopsy at the end of the year and say, oh, these kids didn't make it. We have a responsibility today to know where kids are at in October. We have a responsibility to know where they're at in November. We have a responsibility to know where they're at in March. And then that way, when we get to those final high stakes tests at the end of the year, standardized tests, we should know about where they're going to end up. And so we've really focused on that. And so we're able to intervene right when kids need that intervention and make sure that they're either getting additional help, sometimes individualized help, small group help, whatever that is, making sure that they're offering those opportunities.
And for the older students, are you establishing career-ready pathways for them? And what do those look like?
Yeah, so we believe in West Data that education is now responsible not for college or career, which it used to be, right? We had kids that would go down a college path, and then we'd have kids that went down this career path. We are really changed that or to an and. We want our kids to be college and career ready. That means when they walk across the stage at the end of 12th grade, that they have skills ready to go work in the community, ready to go do some type of post-secondary training, or ready to go to college. And so our CTE programs, our career technical education programs are second to none. We have so many really robust programs for kids to give them some career training so they have those skills when they walk across the stage at the end of 12th grade, but also putting a high importance on our academics and making sure that they're ready to go to college if that's the career path that they choose.
And when you're looking at public education as a whole, what is your outlook?
I'm really, really hopeful for public education. I think that what we do in public education, what our teachers do, is unbelievable. The hard work and dedication. We went through some turbulent times in public education, and but I think we're through the turbulent times, and the people that are there right now are really aimed at making a difference in the lives of kids, and tomorrow's going to look really good, and I think the next day is going to look even better, and so we're through the turbulence, and we're ready to really hit our stride in public education.
As superintendent, what would your advice be to other superintendents?
Yeah, I think it's always important to remember where we came from, and we're in this for kids. Sometimes all the distractions get in the way, and we forget about the primary focus, which is kids. When I'm having a bad day, I get to go sit in a classroom and remember the impact that we're making. We need great leaders in our schools. We need great superintendents out there. I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by some colleagues that are absolutely making a difference in the lives of kids every day. So it's a good weekend to be able to be thankful for that.
And what's your top priorities as you're looking ahead in 2024?
Yeah, so we're really focused on a mathematics initiative. We know that kind of post-pandemic, as we look back, parents were able to read with their kids. Parents were able to even work on writing with kids. Not too many parents sat down and said, hey, you know what, let's solve some equations with kids. And so we've got some work to do there and meeting the needs of our kids and making sure that they're excelling in the mathematics. It's a huge focus for us across the district.
All right. Well, really nice talking to you, Dr. Derek. Bub, we're going to let you go before things get really noisy around here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.